What is happening, y'all? It is Trev, obviously. I guess I'm back to making Terra Classic videos. I got kind of sucked back in by some projects that are building on Terra Classic that I'm actually taking an interest in. I think they're doing some really good things, and it has given me a little bit more hope for Lunk, for the progress of this chain. There are still a lot of issues that need to be worked out, but it's got my interest again, and I'm trying to catch up. I'm a good year or so behind a lot of things that have happened, but I am trying my best to catch up. And so I've been looking at, trying to keep up on the governance proposals and such. And this one is up right now. This is proposal 12101, and I want to chat with you about it a little bit. I don't know. I've got some definite feelings about it that I want to share with you. And then when I'm done sharing that with you, there's an idea that's floating around in my head. It's been floating around for a little bit. It's developing, and I need your help to kind of fine-tune it or kill it. Let me know if it's crazy or not. We'll talk about it in a second. But anyway, so this one here, this is rules to prevent double and network validating. Well, we talked recently about the fact that a long time ago, over a year ago, when I was making more regular Lunk videos, I had alluded to, I had mentioned that, let's say all nodes with all the tokens that they hold. Let's say they self-delegated all their tokens, or at least enough tokens to, their own validator nodes, right? They could have however many nodes they needed, delegate enough tokens so that they could basically take over the chain, right? If they had 51% voting power, they could vote up or vote down any proposal they wanted. They could make their own proposals, vote them up, and dictate exactly the path of everything that happened for the chain, which, good thing or bad thing, that's up for debate, right? But I talked about how that could be done. Well, I come back a year later and I find that some people are actually trying to do that, right? There are, and they're not going to tell you, that's their, twirling their mustache, that's their nefarious goal or whatever. But there's really no reason to have more than one validator node other than you want more voting power, right? I think you make more money too. I'm not sure exactly how that all works. But anyway, so this is basically talking about that. The fact that we have entities, individuals, groups, whatever, who have 2 and 3 nodes, maybe more, I don't even know. And they are basically dictating how a lot of or at least trying to dictate a lot of how these proposals go. And it's getting to the point where it could be kind of at dangerous levels, where if, some of these people get some more nodes and some more delegators and some more power, then game over. I mean, there goes all the decentralization. Basically, they're going to do whatever they want to do. So I understand the premise behind this proposal. I just don't think it's doable, and I'll tell you why. So let's read it. In recent observation, we have identified the emergence of validators running multiple nodes on the chain, posing a risk to the decentralization and security of the network. This has now become a serious issue on-chain, which is centralizing our active set further. This allows them to circumvent the dynamic commission module while other validators obey it. To address this concern, we propose the introduction of a governance rule that explicitly prohibits the following. Okay, so this dynamic commission module, this DCM, Happy Caddy actually spoke out against this recently, suggesting that if you got rid of this, it would alleviate some of the problems in the validator set, because this DCM is what is allowing them to make money or more money or something. I'm not really sure how it all goes. But then a lot of other people came in and said, no, that really wouldn't affect anything at all. I don't know. I don't know the agendas. I don't know the motives. I don't know if people are saying, no, we got to keep it because maybe they're benefiting from it. or if they genuinely believe it wouldn't work. I don't really know enough about it, but this person, whoever this is, that, and it says we, so I don't know if it's a group or if it's a person, is trying to just make a rule, right? That you can't have more than one validator node, and it just doesn't work that way, right? So let's talk a little bit about it. No validator on Terra Luna Classic Columbus 5 will run multiple nodes. They will maintain one validator. So a lot of these validators are kind of anonymous. I mean, they all use these, these weird names or whatever. I don't know who they are. I mean, for all you guys know, I run 3 validator nodes on Terra Classic. You don't know that I don't, right? You don't know that I'm not behind some of these. Now, I understand some of these people are doxxed, some of them are KYC'd, but I think there are a lot that we don't really know exactly who they are, right? Am I wrong about that? I don't know. I think that's the case. And if that's the case, then what's to stop you from having, validator A and then opening up validator C, validator D under a totally different name, and they're all basically your validator, but who's going to know, right? I mean, if you're running the validator yourself, who's going to know? So I don't know how you enforce that. I don't think you can enforce that, right? All right. No entity shall network validate on Terra Luna Classic Columbus 5. No entity will run a validator for each division of its project. I mean, it's kind of the same argument I just made for the previous one, right? Non-custodial service providers shall not allow a customer to run more than one validator on the Terra Luna Classic Columbus 5 chain. So we're talking about like all nodes, right? I don't know if there's probably some other ones too, but all nodes is the one that I know. And all nodes hosts for people their validator nodes. If you don't have the capacity, you don't have the equipment, maybe you don't even have the technical know-how to just run and maintain your own node, you can pay a service provider like all nodes to basically do it for you, right? I assume the way it works is that you pay the fee but you still get money from it, right? Or whatever. And you have some responsibility to do something. I'm really not sure how it works, but I know that you can get all nodes to do that. So all nodes is a business. It's a company. We can't tell all nodes how to run their business. We simply can't. We can't tell them that they from now on are only allowed or they have to only allow one validator per person or one validator per group or whatever. We can't tell them that they have to do that. Listen, when you're in business, your first priority is to make money. That's your first priority. If you're not making any money, your business isn't going to last very long. So you're asking someone like All Nodes who makes money from hosting these nodes to tell people, no, you got to shut 2 of them down. No, you got to shut 3 of them down. We'll only host one for you. You can only pay us to host one node. Why would they do that? They're cutting their own throats and they're cutting their own income stream. They wouldn't do it, and you can't make them do it. Terra Classic does not run all nodes. They run their own company. So it's not doable. These rules aim to preserve the decentralized nature of our network, reduce the risk of Sybil attacks, and ensure the dynamic commission module is not circumvented, which you kind of already said. It didn't really need its own sentence. Teradocs rule update. A update should be an update. I get really thrown off by grammar and wrong punctuation. I'm sorry, that's me. I'm like anal about that stuff. Even though I make mistakes myself, it shows that you didn't go back and really even double check your work. And I mean, how much effort did you really put into this? At least get it grammatically correct. I don't know. I'm sorry. Maybe I'm nitpicking too much. An update should be made to our docs system to incorporate and include this new rule if this proposal passes. It's not gonna pass. It's not gonna pass because it's not doable. It's not enforceable. I understand the sentiment. I understand the idea. I understand that it's like, if this gets away from us and these people are able to open up more and more nodes, then, I mean, that's a really dangerous situation. I get it. It's just that this isn't the solution. You can't do it this way. There's got to be a different way to do it. And if some miracle, this thing even gets to the threshold, right? And it's passing. You know who's going to vote it down? All those validator nodes that have 2 and 3 and whatever 4 validator nodes. The very people that you're trying to set this rule against because they have so much voting power are the ones that you would need to pass this thing. And what do you think the chances are of that? They're going to vote it down. If they're even going to bother with it, they might not even have to vote. But if they have to vote, they'll just vote it down. This will never, ever happen. There has to be another way. I appreciate the effort. I really do. I appreciate that people, whenever somebody steps up to try to do something, they see an issue and they try to do something, I appreciate that. But this one should have been discussed a lot more, it should have been thought out better, and maybe you wouldn't have wasted the money to actually submit this proposal, because maybe somebody could have gotten through to you and said that I hear you, but there's just no way to do it. This one was a waste. All right, the proposed guideline aims to safeguard the Terra Classic network against potential Sybil attacks. Again, already said it. Reinforcing the principles of decentralization and fairness. If this proposal passes, validators are required to obey the new approved rules and revert to one single node. Non-custodial providers will abide by the new rules and deny customers running multiple nodes. I don't even think this is formatted properly. I mean, there's just nothing official about it at all. And if you didn't repeat yourself 3 times, this whole thing would be, I don't know, 4 sentences, if even that. It's, thank you for trying, but this isn't the way to go. So this, I'll be shocked, and I'll be the first one to say I was wrong if this thing even gets close to anywhere near passing. I just don't see it happening. But we do need to do something. And I've had this idea floating around for a little bit, maybe for the last couple weeks, since I've actually kind of started paying a little more attention and trying to catch myself up on what's going on with Terra Classic. So just to take you back a little bit, I mean, all the way back to Agora, if that's even still a thing, I don't even know. I had submitted kind of a proposal for discussion on Agora one time about a leadership council. And some people at that point loved the idea. They realized that all we're doing is spinning our wheels and kind of butting heads on everything, and we're not moving forward, right? And so they said, yeah, we need somebody to kind of take the reins, and, they kind of got the idea. Then a lot of other people absolutely hated it. And at the time, I really thought, and I still think that there's some validity to this. I think that they hated it because maybe they weren't going to be the ones, right, that would be in charge. Maybe they, at that time, if the community elected some sort of leadership council, it probably wouldn't have been them, right? And so that's, a lot of people really kind of try to shit all over the idea. But I didn't give up on it. I kind of fine-tuned it a little bit, try to think a little bit more about how it could be done. And I don't really understand what actually can be enforced and not enforced. At that point, I had even less understanding. So I wrote a Medium article about it, and I kind of spelled out exactly what this would look like with elections and what would happen if someone stepped down or if someone needed to be removed, how often we would re-elect, what their actual powers would be and how they would be enforced. I spelled all that out, but again, even though the idea was, I think the idea was pretty good, and a lot of people actually really enjoyed the idea. There were some parts of it that kind of set people off a little bit because they didn't really understand it. But we still come to a thing of enforcement. How do you give any group or any individual, whatever, enforcement to say this is what's going to happen on Terra Luna Classic, that's what's not going to happen on Terra Luna Classic, because this is a proof of stake chain. So there's governance, which is the first thing that we fought for as soon as we decided we were going to try to revive this chain. So there's governance, and the community decides, supposedly the validators at this point are deciding more than just regular community members like me or you. You can't really give them that kind of power. So that idea, even though, a lot of people really were feeling it, really probably couldn't happen. And what I've noticed since I've been back is that I'm seeing more and more people really kind of getting still on that kind of idea and saying Lunk needs a captain, Lunk needs leadership, Lunk needs, one path. We need a team. They're sick. This is the community, right? These are the people that are invested. 2 years later, chain hasn't really gone anywhere, hasn't progressed. And they're tired of it. They're sick of it. So they want one path, and they realize the only way to get one path is to have one entity who can dictate that path. Well, as I said, that can't be enforced, but what I've been thinking about, and excuse me while I shut this off because it's going to drive me nuts. What I've been thinking about is this. Instead of a leadership council, which pretty much, you really couldn't make it work, I guess, right? I'm thinking more of like I don't know what to call it yet, kind of a guidance counselor or a guidance committee, right? And the way I'm thinking about this in my head, and I really, really want your input. I want you to tell me if I'm crazy. I want you to tell me if this makes any sense to you, if I'm onto something, if it's something that maybe can be expounded on and built upon. What I'm thinking with this guidance committee, I'll just call it that for now, I'm not married to that name, is community chosen, whether it's elections or whatever. I mean, those things can kind of be worked out. Let's just figure out if it's even a good idea, right? So community chosen group of people. These people obviously would have to have expertise and experience in blockchain, in, people that we would trust to make good decisions on keeping us along one path. Now, there are various paths, right? As far as goals at the end of those paths, right? We're talking about one path to reducing the supply, one path to maybe repeg, if we can try and do that, a path to make the chain hospitable and attractive to others to actually come and build on it, okay? There are a lot of different ideas on all these goals on how to get there. And because there are so many different ideas, we just keep going around in circles. Well, we would elect a group that we trust, right? That we trust to say, this is what we feel is the best way to do it. And this is the path. Now, again, we could not give them power to say, this is what we're going to do. This is not what we're going to do. But what they would have, because we've elected them, is that they would have influence. They would have sway. And influence can be better than power, really, as we've seen over and over again. So the reason I say they would have influence is because we elected them. We chose them. People like me who don't understand a lot of this technical stuff, I can read a lot of these proposals and kind of get the idea of what someone is trying to do, whether it actually makes sense or is doable or not. I don't always understand that. And I think a lot of the community, just the general community, who, might want to vote on these proposals but isn't really sure which way to go, because they don't understand it as well either, I think they're in the same boat that I am. And a lot of times we have to end up relying on people that we like or people that we trust to tell us, yeah, that's a good idea, and no, that's not a good idea. I think the majority of us would love to really be able to kind of figure that stuff out ourselves. So this guidance committee that I'm thinking of, or this guidance, whatever you want to call it, they would be able to spell out for us whenever there's a proposal that comes up, or somebody wants to develop something, or someone wants to go one way or another way, they would be able to spell out for us, okay, well, the path that we think is best to get there, this would work well to move us down that path. or this would veer us off that path. It just wouldn't, it would take us off in left field somewhere, and we wouldn't be moving forward toward that goal, right? This is what they would tell us. And then because we elected them and because we chose them, in theory, it would give us, something a little stronger to make our decision and place our vote on. And I think that a lot of people would probably vote along those lines. Okay. Somebody might disagree with that. Maybe that wouldn't work. Maybe I'm too optimistic about it. But where so many people are calling for leadership, even if we can't give someone power to say, this is what we're going to do, at least we can give them power to tell us this is the best way, right? And if we trust that, then we vote that way and we continue down one path. Now, that's not going to stop developers from coming in with different ideas and maybe not even agreeing with that guidance committee, right? And saying, no, this is the way to do it. That's the way to do it. But if we elect them, that's what we trust. And again, in theory, I think that if we saw that the community starts voting along the lines of what this guidance committee kind of leans us toward, right, or suggests is going to keep us on a straight path, right? If you find that we're all voting that way, then in theory, developers will also start falling in line. They'll say, well, if we try to go against what this is the path that the community wants. This is the path that the guidance committee has said will get us there, and this is what everybody's going to vote for. So if that's what they're going to vote for, then we need to make our proposals, we need to make our developments in line with that path. Hopefully, that's what would happen, right? You're always going to have your renegade people that are trying to tell everybody they're a bunch of crackpots, and that's not the way to do it. But if we keep going to that, then we're going to keep ourselves in this circle. We all know the definition of insanity, and so far it's been insane. We've been doing the same thing over and over and over again. Well, if you want one path, this is the best that I can think of to come up with it right now, right? And they would say, basically all they would say is thumbs up or thumbs down. We think that's a good proposal. It'll help. We think that proposal, if we went that way, it'll take us off the path and set us back, right? That's all we need is for an official whatever to give us that guidance, right? And then let us vote. Nothing changes. It's still up to us to vote, the validators to vote, blah, blah, blah. Doesn't kill any decentralization. I don't know. I mean, I could ramble on more and more about it, but I'm kind of repeating myself. Let me know, please. Does that make any sense? Could that kind of bridge the gap that we've been looking for? Is it a bit of a missing link? I don't know. I maybe, right? Let me know. Let me know in the comment section. Let me know on Twitter. Wherever you want to let me know. And if it's stupid, then we won't talk about it anymore. If no one wants to do it, that's fine. If it's something to talk about, let's expound on it.